Janashalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langete Girimet Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam. So offering my obeisances and also begging blessings to all the devotees here so that we can glorify Lord Shri Balaram on this auspicious day of his appearance, Shri Balaram Purnima. So, fasting till noon. So, here we read these verses, but to be honest, I'm going to speak about Lord Balaram. So, I don't know what was discussed in the verses, to be honest again. Yeah, I heard that how Krishna and Balaram are crawling, the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram are like growing and they're crawling. So later in the 10th canto, we will see many more pastimes of Lord Shri Balaram and Krishna in Shri Vrindavan Dham. So on one such day that they go out to play and also herd the cows or the calves. So every day they would go out to herd either the calves when they were younger, or when they became a little older, they were also herding cows. So one such day, Kamsa used to regularly send different demons. So on this particular day, he sent a demon named Pralambasura. So Pralambasura was a very powerful demon. However, Kamsa was like it is a threat to his life. So he chose the best of the demons initially. So Putana and Trinavarta, Shakatasur, and everybody had already come. So Pralambasur was a powerful demon, but still he was not in the high ranks. So he was behind the list. So when his turn came, so he was thinking even greater demons have been killed by Krishna. So I'm like compared to them, I'm not that strong. So probably I'll be very easily killed by Krishna. If I deny the offer by Kamsa or the order of Kamsa, he will kill me. But if I go and engage with Krishna, then Krishna would kill me. So what? Anyway, it seems like I can escape. So what's better, to be killed by Kamsa or to be killed by Krishna? So he thinks, okay, I'll somehow or other get away with this with a plan. I don't want to get killed. So the plan is that I'll attack Balaramji, who's the brother of Krishna, because I haven't heard that he killed too many demons. It seems Krishna is too powerful. He killed all these demons. So let me just kill Balaram and then come and report to Kamsa that this time I only managed to kill Balaram. And because Balaram is killed out of grief, others also will pass away. So he said it's an easy way to get things done instead of touching Krishna. So that way I will also get away from Kamsa's wrath. So he has this plan in mind, and then he comes to Vrindavan, and he takes the form of a Gopa. He takes the form of one of the other cowherd boys who were missing that day, because on the day of their birthdays, one of the any cowherd boys on their birthdays, they would not join the party with Krishna and Balaram. Rather, they would stay home, do rituals, give charity, and all that. For that ceremonies, they would stay back. So on that day, there was one Gopa who had a birthday, so he stayed back home. So Pralambasur took that form, and then he came, and Krishna immediately could recognize, okay, here is a demon in the form of a cowherd boy. So, but he didn't want to expose. Rather, he said, okay, let's have fun today in this way. So Krishna just immediately announced that let's play a game. So he said, the Gopas asked very curiously, what game? Because they would play every day very different games. They were not playing the same games. Every day they would find some interesting game to play. And it's their pre-lunch activity, because you need to develop hunger. So they would just play some sports, because the cows are herding around. So they are having an eye on the cows, or the cows which are all herding in the forest of Vrindavan. They are having an eye on the cows or the calves. At the same time, they also engage in different plays just before the noon time. So they gather in some shade area, and then they're playing. So Krishna said, today we will play a game called like.
He's telling the story as if he was there.
No, I heard from someone, probably they were there. I think they were there. So I'm just repeating what I heard. So Shastra, that is the advantage of Shastra, and also hearing from advanced devotees, that we can experience some glimpse of uh, these pastimes. Otherwise, we have no idea, because the material world is a very dark place. Without the sun or the light, we can't even see ourselves. So without that kind of a knowledge coming from our spiritual masters and from the parampara, it's not possible for us to know anything, like even materially speaking. It's we don't have any power, so what to speak of what's happening in the spiritual world. So this is a day that we express our gratitude for the knowledge that we receive. So there's so much knowledge, the knowledge of the soul, the knowledge of the super soul, but the knowledge of the Supreme Lord is also there. But even in that, Krishna's pastimes, Vrindavan Leela, this is all very, very sweet. This is very confidential. It's not available easily, even among the Vedic scriptures. That's why even Vyasadeva had to go through chastisement by his spiritual master, because his spiritual master told him, okay, present these things about Krishna's pastimes. That's what is going to put the heat of the material existence in the hearts that we are all carrying. So we all carry some kind of fire in our heart. So that fire is the material lust. So that lust goes, Ashu apahinoti. So Shukadeva Goswami says in the Ras Leela pastime at the end, he says, one who hears this pastime of Ras Leela, very specifically Ras Leela, that the lust in the heart of the person who sincerely chants this with faith, who recites this with faith, who reads this faith under guidance, the lust in the heart of that particular person will actually be diminished. Ashu apahinoti, very quickly. Millions of lifetimes we have been carrying this. In a lifetime, in a matter of few years, by this can go. So that is why it is Ashu apahinoti. Achirena dhira. He can become a dhira. He can become a completely self-controlled person by what? By hearing Krishna's pastimes with the gopis. It's like, does not make sense. Like usually in this world, if we see somebody is engaging in sense gratification, we get agitated. But here, Krishna's pastimes with the gopis are so spiritual that someone like Shukadeva Goswami, who is a transcendentalist, is saying, if we continuously hear these pastimes of Krishna, our heart will be purified. So that is the effect of these pastimes. So here Krishna decided on this day, we will play this game of like thieves and police. Like a certain, we will like kind of, no, I'm sorry. It's a wrestling match on this day. So it's a wrestling match that Krishna said, we will divide into two groups, and one from each group will face the other group, and then they will kind of have a tussle. Whichever group actually wins the match, they will be carried by the group of coward boys who are losing the game. So the game is actually wrestling. So they are dividing now into two. So the Gopa is thinking, whose team should I go? The Gopa and the Pralambasur in the form of Gopa is thinking, whose team I should take? Because his logic was, if I'm against Krishna, Krishna might kill me. So let me go along with the team of Krishna. So that way I'll be like I'll go unnoticed, and then I'll be on the opposite team to Balaram. So and then I can carry Balaram, and then I can kind of take him away and kill him. So that's the plan he's making. So he says, okay, let me be on the good books of Krishna. He says, I'll join Krishna's team. So okay, Krishna says, no problem, please join. So in this way, they engage in the duel, and Krishna makes sure that his team actually loses, so that Pralambasur can have a way to execute his plan. So Krishna's team actually loses, Balramji's team wins. And so now whoever is the winning team should be carried by the losing team. So Krishna says, I'll lift Balaram. Pralambasur in the form of the Gopa says, no, I'll lift Balaramji. So he voluntarily picks and offers himself to carry Balaramji. So Balaramji is Guru Tattva. Guru is very heavy, but he does not understand. He thinks, okay, Krishna is more powerful. He has killed many demons. Balaramji probably only killed like so far Dhenukasur probably. So he thinks, okay, Balaramji is not that powerful. So I'll lift Balramji. So then he actually carries Balramji. So Balramji is in the mood of Leela. He's completely absorbed in the pastimes that they are playing. He's fully engrossed in the mood of a small cowherd boy who's playing with other cowherd boys, and he's just enjoying that particular rasa. He's not having the knowledge of his personality is not manifested at this time. It's covered by Yogamaya. Yogamaya acts like a covering whenever the pastime when they have to enjoy the pastime. If they are conscious of their godhood, they won't be able to actually relish their particular mellows in the pastimes. So Yogamaya is covering Balramji, and he is able to carry, the coward boy is able to carry, Pralambasur in the form of the coward boy is able to carry Balramji for a long distance. So Balramji wants to be carried along with the other boys because, say, for example, your team has won and they are in the Bandiruan forest. So the term was, whoever wins will be carried through the rest of the Bandiruan forest. They have come through the Bandiruan forest to some extent, and the cows are being herded there. There is still a good distance to cross the Bandiruan forest. They say the idea is that these people have to carry them all through the rest of the Bandiruan forest. So when somebody wins the game and somebody else is carrying them and all the team goes together, so then they can make fun, they can enjoy that whole experience. So he is expecting to be along with all the other cohort boys so that he can enjoy that experience of being carried away by the losing team and then make jokes and then have fun with the other boys being carried. So here Pralambasur actually carries Balaramji very far away from the rest of the group. So he's continuously wondering, why is he carrying me away from the group? So he's telling him repeatedly, please please let us be with others. So I just want to be with them and enjoy. I want to be with them. And Pralambasur does not listen to it. He just says yes, but he keeps carrying him towards the other direction. He's like taking him very much away from the Gopas. So Balramji becomes very irritated. I'm repeatedly telling you to be with the other Gopas. I want to have fun with them, and you're carrying me away. So in that irritation, he's like trying to tell him, and Pralambasur actually assumes the form of the giant form of his original demon form, and Balramji's knowledge potency awakens. And then in the sense, he is like no more in that absorbed in the pastime of enjoying just the coward as a coward boy. So then he realizes, okay, here is a demon. So he's been tricking us. So then he says it's not a very big deal because Guru Balramji. So he just, with his fist, he just smashes the head of Pralambasur, and Pralambasur falls and falls to death. And then the rest of the coward boys actually realize, okay, here's a demon attacking today, Balramji. So they all come and they see Pralambasur already dead, and they all bring Balramji out, and they're all happy, and they are all glorifying Balramji, how he is so powerful that he could kill this demon. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes how Pralambasur represents lusty desires in our heart, the desire for honor, prestige, name and fame, all these things. So here Balramji is significant, killing this demon of Pralambasura is also significant, because a lot of times when we take to spiritual life, uh, means it's not that we have 100% the right motivations while taking. Means it's very, we are sincere, we're looking for God. At the same time, there can be other desires which manifest while during the practice of devotional service in the initial stages. Through the activities of devotional service, we can actually develop the desire for achieving name, fame, prestige, honor, all these things. And also the desires for lusty enjoyment also remains in the heart of the sadhaka in the initial stages. So all these things are removed by the mercy of one's spiritual master. So it is said the anartha nivritti is a very long phase. His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj was giving a lecture here at the Bhakti Center, maybe before the pandemic. And he was mentioning how does a sadhaka actually cross through this difficult phase of uh, anartha nivritti, because it's a long, little messy, tough, kind of a difficult phase to cross. So how does a devotee actually go through and also grow through that phase? Because when we go through a lot, probably we see it's very difficult to handle. So our spiritual growth can actually be affected also. On the other hand, people may give up, people may get bewildered, people may think, oh, I was much better earlier, now I think it's more messier than what I was. So they may think bhakti is not working, it's not for me. So there can be so many doubts that can come in the hearts, because now we are in the initial stages, the condition told things, I'm good, I'm such an amazing person, the world is yet to recognize my greatness. Or it's just that they're not able to recognize that, because we don't see what is the problem in our hearts. We don't see all the lust which is inside, we don't see all the ego that is there. So as we chant Hare Krishna and become purified, all those things are revealed. So we think, so far I was not like that. Suddenly we think, now I have developed all these things. But actually they were all there. Now we are actually opening our eyes to see them, because we are getting purified. However, it can be very discouraging for many practitioners. And Maharaj was saying how the faith in the Guru is the main thing that can actually carry the sadhaka through this process of anartha nivritti. That my spiritual master has given this instruction. Even if I'm like, let me try my best to follow these instructions. Even if things are difficult or I find it difficult, it'll get better. Let me actually never give up the lotus feet of my spiritual master and stick to his instructions and try my best to follow. And only through that, a person can actually cross through this phase of clearing all the anarthas and actually become established in a fixed way in devotional service. Then the rest of the anarthas keep going till the stage of bhava and prema. There are some anarthas can remain. There are different levels of anarthas. So the gross purification of the lusty desires, rajo, tamo rajas rajo bhava means kama lobhadayas cheteretharanavidam sthitam sattve prasidati, means the gross modes of ignorance and passion, predominant amount of them will be removed in this initial stage of anartha nivritti, and then a person becomes fixed in devotional service, to comes to the stage of nishta, and the rest of the anartha nivritti keeps happening. So here Balramji is actually is the original Guru Tattva. And here only by having faith in the instructions of the one spiritual master, one can go through and also grow through this difficult phase of anartha nivritti. Because we are not just going through spiritual life. All the experiences is like, usually we ask why me, means why all these difficulties are happening to me. But the question a devotee should learn to ask through this phase of anartha nivritti is, what is the lesson in here that Krishna wants me to learn? Because if we continue to ask why me, why I don't deserve this, why me going through all these sufferings, then we won't be able to learn the lessons, and then it becomes more difficult for Krishna and for us also. How does it become difficult for Krishna? Because when the disease is big or serious, then the treatment is also very complicated. So if we continue to hold on to our material hankerings and anarthas, and then not trying to learn what Krishna is trying to teach us, the more we hold on to it, then Krishna has to forcefully take them away. So it's painful for him that we will be going through difficulty, but at the same time, he understands in the long run, only when we give this up, we will be happy. So for our own benefit, then Krishna has to apply more pressure to take those things away from us. And for us, the more we try to hold on to these things, the more it's going to be painful when we have to detach ourselves. And situation, Krishna will make sure we are detached. But if we become humble and then follow the instructions of the spiritual master with intelligence, if we make it easy we can make it easy for ourselves and for Krishna. But if we don't try to ask this question, what can I learn from this experience, then it'll get delayed. It can become more serious. It can become more difficult for us to learn in a hard way. So that's the significance of this pastime, how Balramji is killing Pralambasura, who's representing all these anarthas in our hearts. And by taking shelter of the instructions of one spiritual master, one can actually go through and also grow through this phase of anartha nivritti. Because Guru is considered heavy. Why he is heavy? Because who's a spiritual master? Spiritual master is someone in whom we put more faith than the faith that we put on our minds. Because usually we have so much faith in our own mind, intelligence, and we think we know everything. But spiritual master is that person, when we approach him, we say, I will put more faith than what I put in my intelligence in your instructions. So that faith should be higher than what the faith that we have in our own mind and intelligence. So when we have that faith in our spiritual master's instructions, that is means the instructions of the spiritual master represent the lotus feet of spiritual master. Because it's worshipping the spiritual master is externally worshipping is good, is necessary. However, the real worship of the spiritual master is to try to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. So those instructions are non-different from the spiritual master. So one who puts his faith in those instructions, so then he's putting more faith than what he puts in his mind. So usually the difficulty is we have more faith in our mind or intelligence. So we sometimes think, oh, these instructions, I know they should be followed, but currently I feel like doing this, so let me do that. So we are placing more faith in our mind or intelligence. Rather, we are supposed to be placing more faith in the instructions of our spiritual master. And in this world, we usually scan the world with our minds. Okay, here's this devotee, he's like that, he's like this, she's like that, she's like this, she does that, he says this. So we kind of gauge everyone or size up everyone with our mind. So that's what we see. Our eyes are not just we are not just seeing through our physical eyes, but we are seeing through our judgment. That judgment is happening continuously. But Guru is someone, by hearing from whom we will judge our own mind. We are seeing always others through our mind, but when we hear from our Guru, the camera is turned. Like we all have this in the iPhone or in any Android phone, we have this camera app. There is a rear mirror, there is also a front mirror. So we are always seeing through the rear mirror. Others we are seeing through that camera. But when we hear from our spiritual master's instruction, the camera is turned. It's like, okay, you're seeing the front camera. You're seeing your own mind. You're seeing your own heart. Okay, I have all these problems, and I need to actually cure this disease in my heart. Instead of just always thinking, oh, others are like this, others are like that, we try to see what is the problem within me also. That is possible only when we hear from an authority in whom we have faith. When we listen to someone in whom we don't have so much faith or respect, then those instructions actually does not actually go very deep, because hearing is a very scientific process. So humility is considered as the foundation for receiving knowledge. Why? Because the process of hearing is the main process to receive knowledge also. And without humility, hearing does not work. So if we want to hear from our spiritual master, then we need to have humility. There needs to be gratitude and humility. Only through those two qualities one can actually hear. The ears are not just open. These holes are not enough. The heart needs to be open for hearing. It's not just we have our ears open, because most of the times our ears are open, our eyes are open, we are sitting there and our minds are somewhere else. Because the heart is not thinking, oh, here is someone who's going to give me the ultimate thing that I need. And we are not hankering for Krishna. We are so comfortable in this material world with our own contaminated situation of the heart. We are not even recognizing. So we are very, very comfortable. We think, oh, it's everything is cool. I'm living in Manhattan, and then things are nice. Today it's not so sunny. It's much better today. And like in this way, we are completely absorbed in the material atmosphere. So then there is some natural complacency in the heart. So with that complacency and without having that kind of an urgency and humility, nobody can actually hear and assimilate and practice and apply in their lives. So that's why we hear from advanced devotees regularly also. Apart from that sharing amongst each other, we also hear from advanced devotees, because there is a natural humility that dawns upon us when we are in the association of someone really advanced, and we become like completely humble. We can means I can attest for my personal experience. It's not, I cannot so advanced that I can bring up that same mood every day when I listen from everyone. Ideally, I should be, because everyone who sits on the Vyasasana is empowered by the spiritual master. So our spiritual master can speak through anyone. We just have to be in that mood. When we come to the class, we need to sit and think, okay, my spiritual master, what is he trying to instruct me through this person who's today sitting here? What is he trying to tell me? Because Srila Prabhupada was open like that. So when a person said, why are you printing these pamphlets? You have to print books. That's what will actually stay in along with a person. That's what will create a bigger impact. He said, okay, my spiritual master is speaking through this person. He didn't think, oh, what is this guy? I'm a Vaishnava sannyasi. What is this person? This normal guy. He can advise me. What does he know about transcendental literature? No. He thought, okay, my spiritual master is speaking through this person. So a sincere devotee is open, because he is not just seeing who is sitting there, because Paramatma is giving intelligence. I may decide a lot, I may prepare a lot, I may know a lot, but only if there is sanction, it will manifest. We may think, oh, I gave a great class, I covered all these points, but there needs a sanction of the Paramatma also. So any knowledge that's coming from, that knowledge is coming from Balaramji, that's coming through Paramatma, that's coming from our spiritual masters. So all knowledge belongs to them. Nothing belongs to anyone who is repeating here. All knowledge originally belongs to Krishna, Balaramji. So any knowledge that comes through is actually coming through our spiritual master. If we are aligned to that and open to that and listen, and then wanting to apply those instructions, only through that knowledge we can see our mind through that knowledge. Instead of seeing the knowledge and the devotees through our minds, we can see our minds, we can see the condition of our heart only when we receive that knowledge in a humble, submissive spirit. And when we see the condition of our heart, then we can develop the eagerness. Okay, I need to purify. I need to actually begin this business of spiritual purification of my heart. Only then I can actually give pleasure to Krishna. If I am Nitya Siddha, Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoi, if I am like, if the eternal Prema is residing in the heart of the conditioned soul, and we are all Jivera Swarupa Hoi Krishnera Nityadas, we are all eternal servants of Krishna, then when are we going to go there? When am I really going to become a servant of Krishna? When I'm going to develop that desire truly, honestly, that I want to be a servant of Krishna. I don't get up in the morning thinking, oh, I have an amazing opportunity to be a servant of Krishna today. Most of the times I'm like stoned to, like I'm just like getting up like I was stoned to death, and I'm just somehow trying to revive myself from ignorance. Like it's such a difficult thing early in the morning. I'm not like ecstatic, like thinking, oh, here, like there's another day I can actually try to become a servant of Krishna. When I'm chanting, I'm saying, okay, I have an opportunity now. I can chant these names, call out to Radharani and call out to Krishna, that let me become a servant of you. No, I'm not thinking like that. I'm thinking, when will I, means my happiness is usually in chanting is the more the number of rounds get over, the more becomes one becomes two, two becomes three, three becomes 14, 14 becomes 15. I feel more happy about chanting because it's going to get over and I can do my other things in the day. That's what I see myself. Why I'm becoming so happy? Because the chanting is getting over. That is why I'm becoming. It's not that I'm happy because I'm chanting. I'm happy because my chanting is finally over. I can do other things. Like finally I can be relieved from this burden what my spiritual master gave me. But actually it's not the burden. It's actually the process to actually purify the heart, to become actually cleaner, so that we can give more pleasure to Krishna, become actually servants of Krishna. So to recognize that on a daily basis, so we need to hear from hear this knowledge. So with that intelligence that is coming from the scriptures, coming from Krishna, coming from our spiritual master Srila Prabhupada, with that knowledge we can actually maybe at least chant a mantra attentively, if not a whole round. Ideally, we have to be chanting 16 rounds, but everything starts with one mantra. So gradually, we have to develop that spiritual strength to lift the beads, because lift the beads means hear the holy name. Each holy name should be going inside. So that takes so much spiritual eagerness and power. So that comes only from the empowerment of one spiritual master. So we offer our respects to Srila Prabhupada, who is the preeminent Siksha Guru of everyone in the movement of ISKCON, and he's Vishwa Guru. He's ready to become the Siksha Guru of anyone and everyone in this world. And by his grace, he's that empowered representative of Sri Balaram, who came in this age of Kali Yuga, give this knowledge that we are not just meant to be trying to enjoy these senses and suffering in this world time and again, just trying to think this is real happiness, that sensory happiness is real happiness. That's the understanding of a conditioned soul. So it is not true. The real happiness is actually serving Krishna. Prabhupada said the chanting is not a mental adjustment. It's actually the nature of the soul. So the more we chant sincerely, the more we can understand that giving pleasure to Krishna is our dharma, is our nature, eternal nature. So all that can happen only by the mercy of one's spiritual master. And mercy of spiritual master is always there. It's not that it will only manifest at a certain time. It is available like air is in this room. So similarly, mercy of Prabhupada, mercy of spiritual master is always available. Are we actually tapping into it? That is dependent upon the situation of our heart, the attitude of our heart. So that's what we're trying to train ourselves in the association of devotees. By seeing each other, by taking inspiration from each other, how do I become more sincere so that I can tap this available mercy that's everywhere, all time, eternally available, that this mercy. But how do I tap it? How do I develop the patra? How do I become a vessel to receive that mercy? So we can only become a proper vessel by the association of devotees, that we become more and more purified, humble, give up the false ego, give up the unnecessary desires in our heart. It's a gradual process. It happens only by the association of devotees and by the mercy of one spiritual master. So thank you very much for this opportunity to share some thoughts on this most auspicious day of Sri Balaram Purnima, the appearance day of Lord Balaramji. So we offer our respects on the lotus feet of Sri Balaram, that we can become sincere and understand the rarest opportunity that we have, because Guru Krishna Prasadi, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva. After millions and millions of lifetimes, a person receives spiritual master. And the instructions of the spiritual master are not ordinary. They are spiritual. They are supposed to take us beyond this material bondage, this darkness of the spiritual material world. They are saying tamasoma jyotirgamaya, come towards light, get out of this ignorance. But we feel very comfortable with the modern advancement, with all the electric bulbs. We think, oh, I'm not in ignorance. But there's so much ignorance inside that can go away only by the mercy of spiritual master. So we pray on this day at the lotus feet of Shri Balaramji that we can understand this. What is inside is all like ignorance. So all the intelligence, original, pure intelligence comes from one spiritual master's instructions. So based on that, we need to drive our life. So based on that, we have to give direction to our lives and go towards Krishna more and more. So Hare Krishna, thank you for this. Any thoughts on want to share? Anyone who's online, anyone who is in person? Okay, there are a lot
Sharan
of
Prabhu. Oh, Krishna Daya, go ahead.
Okay, Krishna Daya Prabhu has raised his hands.
Yeah, I would like to thank that point, Prabhu. You very nicely explained how we grow through the Anartha Nivritti phase. So the main thing is like which carry forwards the person go through and grow through is the faith in the spiritual master, because it's a very painful process. Sometimes we feel so frustrated in the path of spirituality, but that attachment to a person who is exemplary, so that will somehow carry forward us. And it's really great to find such lucky to find such exemplary personalities. Thank you so much for the wonderful class.
Thank you, bro. I really appreciate how you said attachment to a person, because the instructions of spiritual master are not like impersonal, because we are attached to the instructions because we have respect and faith to a personality. So by surrendering to the person, we actually that's why we want to actually please the person, so we follow the instructions. So that personhood is very important, because love cannot be directed towards an impersonal instruction. Thank you, bro, for that point. Yeah, the attachment to the personality is what is actually can carry one forward in the spiritual life during the difficult phases of purification. Anybody else wants to share any thoughts? What is there in the yes,
Darshan Prabhu, you,
Adi Purusha Prabhu wants to share something? I'm just going to give his Adi Anand Bihari Prabhu. You can also share by the time Prabhu has the mic.
I have a question. When you were talking how we should learn our lesson and make it easier for Krishna to bring us back home, what is it? What is this process of learning? Is maybe I'm just learning that this person is objectively a crazy, unreasonable jerk. Is that a valid learning, or it's always that it's my fault? Is learning? What is learning? How do we move on?
If I have to paraphrase the question, you're asking if there are our interactions with other people, through that if we face some difficulty, should I not just blame that person, just think what I can learn from this interaction with this person? Is that the context?
Yeah. How do I learn? What is this? What is it that I should learn in when there's a difficulty in the relationship? Is it always my fault that something is going wrong, or maybe it's that this person is objectively acting like a jerk?
There is an internal level. There is also a practical level. Srila Prabhupada was once giving a class about Adveshta Sarvabhutana Maitra Karuna Evacha, how a devotee is actually very always non-envious, very merciful, compassionate. And then he was closing his eyes and playing Kartal. And it was in India, and there were some people who were trying to make troubles with his ladies' disciples. Srila Prabhupada was just giving class about how a devotee, pure devotee is like compassionate. He picked up the Kartal and threw at those people. Means compassion has to manifest differently at different times. It's not a very theoretical thing. So when we say we have to learn, we just don't need to be like we are like vessels of harassment. We don't need to let everyone walk over us for anything and everything. That's not the idea. So the devotees also should be assertive, mode of goodness. So the more the practice of bhakti is there, a person comes to mode of goodness. A person in the mode of goodness is not like a passive, nor is he passive aggressive, nor is he aggressive, but he is assertive. Mode of ignorance means passive, then blame everyone else around. Or passive aggressive, manipulate things to get it equal with other person. Or passionate means aggressive. But being in the mode of goodness means assertive. Understand if this is a situation that needs to be handled practically. So that also we can take guidance from other devotees. If we don't understand how to handle a particular situation, go to advanced devotees, ask them, okay, how do I become assertive in this situation so people don't walk over me? Because we need to protect our spiritual life. That is our responsibility. We need to protect our consciousness. We need to protect our spiritual life. We need to protect the sincerity and the desire to continue to practice spiritual life. We should not let anything affect those things. So we need to be assertive, even in the association of devotees, that nobody affects our enthusiasm in practicing devotional service by their behavior. It could be because of their behavior, but it is also our responsibility. And it should be handled in a Vaishnava way with etiquettes. So then take guidance. Okay, how do I do this in the with proper etiquette? And in that way, we can also address the external situation, and we can also internally be in the right consciousness. It is not exclusive. We think if I have internal consciousness of being humble, externally I should be walked over by anyone and everyone. No, this both can go hand in hand. It just needs more development of goodness and guidance. I'm not sure if I exactly addressed the point that you raised. You can share anything if you want.
Yes, you addressed it nicely. I will approach a senior devotee and ask them to throw kartals at the offender.
Okay, here Adipurush Prabhu is here.
Can you hear me okay?
I think they should be, if they are able to hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's really
I can see
these pastimes of Krishna as a child. There we extrapolate from our own experience, and here in the planet that we're living in, East Village, like in this community here in the Bhakti, there are no children at all. When's the last time any of you took a child in your arms? You know, it's almost beyond like looking at another planet or something, that we don't really see those things or experience those things. It's hard for us to imagine, you know, how Krishna's wonderful childhood pastimes. And so Krishna has this magical, mystical, amazing arrangement for people in this world to have children, to care for children, you know, babies, toddlers, even like, you know, boyhood age. And it's the children practically, I've seen with my godbrothers, Arjuna can tell us, you know, children practically, they practically hypnotize their parents. You know, you become so absorbed in caring for this child, right? You're telling, you know, she's nodding her head, right? And so like Krishna's appearing as a child and pulling at the heartstrings and helping us to like, you know, feel affection and interact in a caring, nurturing, protecting way with the Lord. So it's just, you know, just it's a few baby teeth, children crawling in the mud, you know, protecting them from, you know, whatever. It's just it's wondrous, and that's what mentioned in the verse today. So I'm just marveling at how wonderful Krishna is to draw us into those relationships of loving care, as if he's a helpless child. Okay, glories to Prabhupada, Hare Krishna. I hope that's significant.
Well, are we opening the curtain soon, or we have Guru Vision?
we can hear you.
He's asking if the curtains are about to open because it's after 8 o'clock. Yes.
Hari Bol.
Bhima Prabhu.
Bemis has some. Okay, go.
Very quickly, also we can be reminded of how Krishna handles our problems like a child. It's all fun and games to Krishna. It may hurt us, but so is a game of football or wrestling or something like that. We maybe have to be tossed on the ground. We may have to get a flip. We might get a little bonk in the head. But Krishna handles us with love and with play, and he has a good time doing it. We just have to realize that he's doing it for our own good, and he's doing it in fun and games. So just like a child. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Evan Prabhu has shared.
Yeah, I was in reading about.
We can hear Evan's exalted comment.
You have to hold it close.
I don't think it's this. So I was reading about Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary on Krishna Lila and the demons in Krishna Lila, what they represent in terms of our anarthas. And I think it said that Balaram represents the demons that are killed by Balaram represent anarthas that we need to kind of work on more intensely than other anarthas that Krishna kills. And I think it was things like lust and I don't know what other anarthas, but
Greed.
Bad habits.
bad habits. Yeah. So I was wondering about that.
Is that like a comment, question? Question, okay, means because there are certain, the question was like certain anarthas we need to work. We need to take the initiative. The instruction to give up the lusty desires is there. But if we never take the initiative, yes, I need to give this up. The initiative has to begin from us. The instructions of the scriptures is always there. Instruction of the spiritual master is there. But if I'm not sincere enough to follow, then the results won't manifest. So that's why the 10th offense is to not to maintain the material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this subject matter. Because maintaining means to have material desires is one thing, but to maintain them, like you have an apartment or you have a gadget, but maintaining means taking care of it, cleaning it, giving it time. So we may have material desires, but devoting time to engage in them, to nourish them, to read about them, to associate with other people who have similar attachments. So that is maintaining. That's what the scriptures again say. Bad association. Why they want us to give up bad association is because we will maintain our material desires through those association. So that is my understanding. So now we have the curtains opening soon. Hare Krishna Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Balaram Jayanti Mahamahotsav ki jai, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sai Gaura. Hare Krishna.
Great class, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you.